without being long, we just want to give an overview of the department because this is about partnerships as well, relationship building between countries. As you all know, historically, our ties with Romania, they go a long way, where we used to get a lot of military training and political training from Romania as liberation movements of Africa in general, but of Southern Africa in particular. And in this case, I'm referring to the ANC, PAC. Those were the liberation, forces that were trained by the forces in Romania. So quite a lot of our people who have gone through that training. They also have gone through a number of changes, as we did after 1990. We obtained our liberation in 1994, and then we had to manage the new structures, the new changes, the consolidation of the world order, and the changes that took place. Remember, in the past we used to have the Cold War, the East versus West, and now the geopolitical arrangement in the world has changed, and we're trying to all find our feet within that context. Today, South Africa is part of what we call the BRICS, arrangement, which is trying to look at consolidation of our position in geopolitics of the world today, as they've been arranged. Honorable Ambassador, we are one of the 9 provinces in South Africa. The total land area is 196,000 square kilometers, which gives you a huge land area with one of the longest coastlines, in South Africa. We have 1.8 million children in the system, and all of those children, the majority, they come from the poor of the poorest, which is the poor families. Of these children, 1.4 million, they live on a national school nutrition program every day that government is providing. We've done all of these to support them to stay at school, to do very well. As a result of that, if you look at the record of our performance, it has come out very beautifully. Over the last 3 years, our pass rate has been improving by no less than 3.5%, which has now risen to almost 77% pass rate. Now, when you look at the Eastern Cape and compare with other provinces, there are areas in which we are leading the nation as a province, particularly in the quality of our passes. Of all the provinces that we have, the majority of children who take mathematics and science, they come from Eastern Cape. From the numbers that we have, 105,000 kids that wrote last year, 45,000 of these kids, they did pure maths. Our challenge is to get quality teaching so that we can enhance the levels of pass in mathematics. As a result, one of the areas that we really want to collaborate with any country that comes in is how do you support us in enhancing the teaching of mathematics and science, in the Eastern Cape, because we're not going to, drop the numbers because of failure rate. There are provinces where they feel the squeeze of maths pass rate, they drop the numbers so that they can get higher pass rates. Now, in the Eastern Cape, we've agreed that we're not going to do that. The second part is the ability of our children, by the time they leave primary schools, to read and write with confidence and with comprehension. We have then launched something called the reading program of the Eastern Cape, where we have roped children into a reading structure that is meant to support them. So when we look for partners, we look for partners who come in and who come into that space where we complement each other. And we look at your visit, with so much hope and with so much appreciation, because we really want to partner with a lot of countries on a number of issues. We really want to come and learn from your country, things that you do differently and things that you do better. We talk about curriculum, we talk about teaching of mathematics, we talk about training, vocational education, we talk about your focus schools. We're now getting into seeing whether we can focus our curriculum to specific areas of specialization, maritime education, aeronautics. We're looking at all of these. So coming here, it's really about trying to see how can we nurture this partnership and this relationship beyond your visit, beyond your your gesture of goodness and goodwill that you are going to do tomorrow, to see if we can construct a strategic partnership to look at specific areas, and that will be very great. We don't count out possibilities of scholarships between the two countries, fellowships, study visits. The package can be longer. All we could do is to pull together a framework within which we can pull up that partnership. So in those few words, Ambassador, we want to welcome you to the Eastern Cape and hope that this is the beginning of beautiful things to come. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much. Chairman Saziwa, dear guests, actually I am a guest here, but because now I'm address you, that's why I told you, dear guests, head of department, chief directors, I am very glad to be here today on this very special occasion, and I would like to convey my warm thanks to Mr. Gade, member of the Executive Council, even in absence, for organizing and inviting me at this wonderful dinner. I am very proud that this is the second Romanian project equipping the rural schools in your country, first of all being in Centurion, Gauteng province. Maybe you are wondering why the second Romanian project will be developed in the Eastern Cape, because the founder and director of STASCI, Ms. Kwababa, has convinced me that also in Eastern Cape there are children need support. And Romanian government, on behalf of which I am here, agreed with this proposal and has decided to finance East London's project, meaning 4 high schools. At the beginning of my career myself, I was a teacher, a chemistry teacher. My mother was a primary school teacher for 40 years. Some of my relatives have been teachers, so I can say that being a teacher is a tradition in my family. I love children, and I cannot stand to see children in dire needs. Besides this, I really believe that the education is one of the most important tools which a family and the country can provide to their children. Improving basic education in the townships and rural areas will make a significant impact on the economic and social life of the people, on the economic and social development of the country. In President Mandela's words, no country can really develop unless its citizens are educated. I don't want to be so long, so I will end by saying that the East London project is Romania's second project of this type in South Africa, but it will not be the last. With the full support of the Romanian government, I will continue these educational projects in rural areas. Once again, thank you so much, MEC Fundile Gade, for this wonderful dinner. And as it is written in the invitation, I can say from all my heart, yes, we are here for celebrating cooperation between our countries, as well as our friendly and long-standing relations. Long live Romania and South Africa. Thank you.
It is with great pleasure that I stand before you today to give an overview of the contributions made to TASCI and by TASCI In the rural and township communities of South Africa, I will highlight just a few achievements. In 2018, we've had an opportunity of being visited by a number of diplomats in the province. The affair was something totally different than this, but it was beautiful in the sense that we had over 74 principals that were in attendance, which gave the essence and of what teaching in these communities is about. So the ambassadors that were here at the time, they had an opportunity of meeting and interacting with those principals. The essence of this talk, I know it's a dinner and it's really not about talking too much. I would love to encourage all of us that may we continue to work together to make the difference in the lives of those in need and those who need it most. And in closing, Program Director, I would like to share a profound quotation by the visionary spiritual leader, Paramahansa Yogananda. He once said, "It takes the combined effort and selfless cooperation of everyone to build a strong and vibrant nation. Each individual contribution, when united for the greater good, becomes a powerful force that can bring about lasting positive change." These wise words remind us of the immense potential that lies within us when we come together for a common purpose, ultimately leading us toward a brighter future for all. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for taking your time and paying attention to the many words that I have shared. I thank you.
We take this opportunity to greet you all, especially our guests, the ambassador for Romania, and also Ms. Wababa. We have come a long way, Chairperson. We have got a history that we can share with the nations of the global village. And hence it is important that from time to time we make some reflections. Whether are we able to make some breakthroughs in the best interest of building a solid, formidable international context, for a number of reasons. One amongst those is to ensure, Honorable Ambassador, the relations we have with your country and specifically with your office as a gateway. As I was seated there, I was thinking, what could be the best way of consolidating the collaboration initiatives and efforts that have been done thus far, so that we can put a significant contribution in the best interest of the people of the province in particular, and also in the best interest of the people of the country in general. It has been clearer now that indeed, Chair, the history of the South African society is a history of unresolved issues. We may look like we are ambiguous when we raise that, or trying to run away from being responsible in terms of the setup immediate tasks that are before us now. But if you look in terms of the infrastructure in general, whether you talk road infrastructure, whether you talk network infrastructure for connectivity, whether you talk physical infrastructure in the context of building and construction. We are a bit far from what we thought we would be at a particular time. But what is a worry for me now, colleagues, is what I raised in Kanduli today. That we have just been visited by a new phenomenon as a nation. We have a collapse of the social infrastructure now, which is one of the new phenomena that have not been there before. And the danger of not attending to this question, you run a risk of moving in cycles as a nation because you are dealing with the manifestation, not the fundamental core causes of what continues to be a problem. So I'm saying it's a matter that from time to time we must give ourselves space and time to look into how best do we reposition the sector such that it is able to live to the expectations of the people of the province. Unfortunately, we are leading a sector whose mandate goes beyond what one can say from a constitutional point of view is what then becomes the task of this sector. Hence, we must from time to time embrace whatever initiatives that comes into our shores, especially initiatives of this nature. On behalf of those schools that benefits out of this collaboration, let me take my hat off. One, for the organizers and also for the ambassador itself that has been able to make sure that there is life in those schools. And I think it's gonna be important that we try the BcmTv to have a footprint, if possible, across the province, so that we don't regionalize them. Because if we regionalize them, such kind of impact might not be there. So we'd have to find a way, better way of how do we best expand the scope and also play our own role and responsibilities that are expected out of us as the hosting nation in this particular regard. Today, when we were closing the session in Kandula, I was saying, yes, of course, we've built this infrastructure of 30.6 million rands, and the argument from the floor chair was that we must provide a security personnel. The kid. Now, the question that I was asking there, what is this security going to do? Must we guard this or secure this property from you? Are you trying to suggest that? Or you are continuously undermining your role? Hence, you are asking a police men and women in each and every bedroom of each and every household, because you can't conduct yourselves through the gender-based violence and femicide. Which nation has got a police for each bedroom in a household? So I'm saying there are things that we had to nip them on the bud and begin to engage extensively. Are you not, in a way, militarizing the society when you are advancing an argument that society must be led through military forces? You bring police for everything that does not need police. That just needs sober-minded citizenry, responsible ones. So I'm saying, within what we are currently engaged on today, there is going to be that challenge, Ambassador, unfortunately, a challenge of a social infrastructure collapse in the country. We are running short of people who can reason, think. We have flooded offices with noisemakers. Many of us think that we can resolve the problems of this country by making noise. Without getting deeper, what is actually the problem here? And how should we then engage in solving the X for such kinds of problems? And I'm therefore happy that today we are gathered in this fashion. Out of this initiative, you have opened up other avenues of engagement, which would require another set of time, Chair. Maybe the office to write to both of them and have a coffee with them, with the office of the HOD, before the shutdown of this year, so that we can invest more in the province for the best interest of the people of this province. Not just for education only, but also for other sector departments. How do we bring leverages that are going to make sure that sector departments also have got a breathing space? Because if they collapse, Ambassador, if they collapse, they automatically collapse this department. If it can give you the budget breakdown and allocation of this department, you would see that almost 50 to 55% of matters that are budgeted for here do not belong here. They belong elsewhere. Precisely because of the impact of that here, you must then budget them and resolve them on their behalf. And when they are resolved, they are going to claim that victory, not you. I never knew up until the last CEM in Northwest, I never knew that there is something wrong with us as a sector. I always think that we are on the right path. Chairperson, that CEM says the first top 4 provinces of this country do not do maths and physics. Now, in essence, it means their interest is on the performance in the context of 100%, not in the context of the content of the subject taught, and therefore the future of the kids. Because choosing life orientation, knowing very well that life orientation become dominant in a province, knowing very well that these kids are not going anywhere with this life orientation. Now, the question that I was raising, and I want to raise it here, if then that is the case, what is the fate of the NDP? If there is a misalignment of content at a theater of production of knowledge and skill, what then becomes the relevance of the National Development Plan? Because that NDP depends on what is happening in a classroom, in a lecture room, now, for the benefit of 2030 and abroad. So I'm saying there is a lot that we just needed to panel beat and move with speed in terms of ensuring that there is a relationship between the poverty, the inequality, the unemployment that confronts us, and the content of what is taught in the classroom. Scientifically, there should be that relationship. so that we resolve the problems. We don't carry along problems and find ourselves being a routine government, not a transformative government. So hence I'm saying it's a matter that requires an agility to look at things differently and explore avenues like these so that we can be able to expand on the fiscus that we have. Currently, the country is having a growthless economy, but interestingly, is also a leading nation in terms of the social spending. Growthless economy on the other side, social spending on the other side. Something has gone wrong again. So I'm saying, Chair, I'm welcoming the gesture, I'm welcoming the contribution made by Ambassador and Kwababa and all other business partners that are interested in basic education in order to engineer a new culture of development, more focusing on vocational skills and training, so that you don't produce unemployable people in the country, and you claim to have a system of education that produces people, unless you are comfortable with the certificated people, not learned people. Thank you, Program Director.
Maya Angelou had this to say in one of her poets, the late Maya Angelou, that people will forget what you said. They'll forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. Ambassador Sitaru and Umama Kwababa, your vision and your contribution, because the ambassador got interested in the Eastern Cape because of her persistent call. She accepted the call. Remember, seated there, she's responsible for more than 8 SADC countries. 10 countries in the SADC region. And so far, only 2 provinces have gained. The one where she's residing in, Gauteng, which I want that to be taken back to the Eastern Cape. Yeah. We can't take water to the ocean. But we are lucky because of your combination. So you have made us feel very important. Again, one of the African descendants, Frantz Fanon, one of his books, The Wretched of the Earth, has this to say. This is the challenge that I'm throwing to everybody. Each generation must discover its mission, fulfill it or betray it in relative authority. So this generation of these elders here must make sure that the generation to come will treat their graves as places of sacred than to split them on them because of what we shall have done, inclusive of myself.